Timothy Dalton is playing Bond for the first time, taking over from Roger Moore, but does he step up to the plate? Let's find out in the review. How are we doing, everybody? This is Let's Be Real Brad. Today we will be talking about the 15th film in the official Eon series, The Living Daylights. This is based on the Ian Fleming short story novel of the same name, with the first act being from the story, but the rest of the film is original. I got to say, I really enjoyed this movie a lot, being the best Bond film out of the past 5 movies. Let's get right into the acting, starting with Timothy Dalton in the role of Bond. He replaces the legendary Roger Moore, who had been in 7 official James Bond films, which would be the most for any actor playing Bond unless you count Sean Connery's 7th unofficial film in Never Say Never Again. Timothy Dalton is stellar in this movie, with being such a nice change of pace to this Bond series that seriously needed one, with Roger Moore's films being silly, stupid, and cheesy movies that were getting tiresome at this point. Timothy Dalton committed to the role by reading all of Ian Fleming's original novels, trying to be as close to the character as possible, but providing his own spin on it. He was also originally one of the few upcoming actors to replace Bond after Connery retired, but claimed he was too young at the time, being in his early 20s. Dalton gives a dire, gritty performance that I thought fit well in this film. He still manages to show that sexy, suave, and slick spy who kicks a ton of butt in this one. The common complaint of his performance is that Dalton isn't all that funny, but to be honest, I'm actually okay with it. I think he has some great one-liners that gave me a few chuckles, so I love the performance either way. Mariam d'Abo plays Cara Milvoy, a solid Bond girl who does help throughout. Even though she can make a few dumb decisions, the rest of the cast is solid too. Another significant aspect of this film is the writing. This is one of the best screenplays in years for these filmmakers, feeling fresh and unique for Dalton's new movie that had so much tension, excitement, and a genuinely interesting story that kept me interested all the way throughout, which was different than most Bond films. This movie has the most significant changes from those classic Bond films, with the first being on cutting down on women's exploitation, on how Bond doesn't try to bang every woman he meets, which got very frustrating, especially in the Moore films. In this one, it is the complete opposite, making Bond a more respectable and more relaxed Bond. The filmmakers also decided to go a whole 360 and created a gritty, darker Bond film that I've been desperately waiting for. It works mostly great in this one, feeling interested in what the characters are saying and how Bond and Cara will stop the villains. It felt more relaxed and natural with this one, giving Bond a more humane side to him, like playing bumper cars and going on roller coasters. Silly as that sounds, they pull it off in the film. Action is also great, with tons of explosive special effects that I thought were exceptionally great. This more severe tone made it so much more exciting, especially with the terrific first act that I thought was almost perfect for a Bond film. There are a lot of great hand-to-hand combat scenes with tons of bullets flying everywhere. The Aston Martin's car return was a great surprise after making its last appearance in 1967's On Her Majesty's Secret Service over 20 years ago. They use it well for great car chases. The production design is excellent, as most Bond films do, with so many interesting locations with great wide open sets that helped create fantastic and believable action scenes, especially on the ice in Afghanistan, which was marvelous. The music is also fantastic, being one of my favorite scores of John Barry's, as this will be the last score he composes for a Bond film as he went out on a high note. The soundtrack is notable for its introduction of sequence electronic rhythm tracks overdubbed with the orchestra at the time, a relatively new innovation. It helped create intensely and great action scenes that sounded great with the speakers turned all the way up. What's interesting about this film is that it was the first time to use different songs over the opening and end credits. The song heard over the end credits, If There Was a Man, which also acts as the love theme of the film, was one of 2 songs performed for the movie by Chrissie Hynde of The Pretenders. The other song, Where Has Everybody Gone, is heard from Necro's Walkman in the film. The title song, The Living Daylights, is performed by a-ha, which is pretty good and fits this movie well. Looking back, it has that nostalgic 80s style to it that has a nice ring to it. The film does have its negatives, being that as much as this is a grittier and more intense version of the Bond series, it does have its extraordinarily cheesy and silly moments that did ruin the severe tone this movie was going for. This only happens with some of the action scenes, which I found very disappointing. The second is that while much of this action is pretty good, some of it feels like 1970s Bond moments with the cheesy hand-to-hand combat scenes that look like they aren't even hitting each other, which happens every so often. It is the best action we have seen in a while, but I wish it could have been perfected in this one. I also found this movie's villains not very interesting, as I like the mystery and twists that surround these villains, but not as iconic or memorable as the other Bond villains we have seen. On the flip side, they weren't evil or at least very dull villains. I just didn't care for them, even though the performances were solid. Some dull and boring stretches halfway through the film that I simply didn't care for could have been shortened because this movie is a little too long. Overall, this is the best Bond film we have seen in a while, with an excellent performance from Timothy Dalton, who I really thought killed it in this movie. It took a grittier and intense storyline with its best writing in a long time, with great action, and improved every aspect of what we had been missing in these Bond films. I thoroughly recommend this one as an enjoyable spy movie. I'm giving this movie a 6 out of 10. So, let me know down below in the comments section what you thought of The Living Daylights and where it ranks in your James Bond film rankings. Before you check out of this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you never miss a new, fun, and exciting video. Next week, we will discuss the last Timothy Dalton film, only doing 2 movies with License to Kill, so be sure to check this film out before the next review. As always, I will see you all in the next video.